Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to a new episode of the Habibis. Rami here. I just have a very embarrassing confession to make. We were gonna record this live from our panel at Gamescom, and I showed up on Arab time, so there was no recording equipment. So then we decided to make up for it by recording it somewhere else, and then we also messed up that recording. So the short version is that Fauzi sounds amazing in this episode, like absolutely incredible, like great microphone. And then me and Osama are sitting on the other side of the table, and it turns out that Fauzi's microphone is so good that it also picked up me and Osama. So basically what I'm trying to say is the audio quality in this is not going to be great, and if it's too much for you to listen to, it's sort of this annoying echo. Fully understand. We're really sorry. We'll try and do better again next week. There's some really fun conversation in it, so if you can stomach it, give it a listen. We hope you enjoy. Inshallah khair. Alright, salam. Episode of the Habibis 3 Game Developers Drinking Good Arab Tea. My name is Rami Ismail, your host for this episode.
And I'm Osama Dorias.
I'm Fawzi Mizmar.
We are here together in real life.
Yes, actually, Osama pointed at himself. So
yes, I did.
We didn't even need to type it in the chat.
No.
Wow.
Far less preparation needed
Yes.
when we can just sort of like wave at each other.
Yeah.
How's that going to work out?
I don't know. It's either going to be great or terrible.
It's like prior to primitive technology. Now I have to just give you hand gestures.
Is it okay if I'm hoping for terrible?
I mean, I don't know. Like I will take any excuse.
Terrible is on brand.
Right, but I will take any excuse to do more of these in person. So in fact, this is the second time we're doing a Habibis episode in person.
That's true. Except this is the first time we're doing all three of us in person.
Well, it's actually the second time we're doing all three of us in person. It's just the first time we managed to record it.
Oh, that's absolutely true.
Right.
Yeah, our live stream was not live.
It was live for the people that were in the room.
Right. So for people tuning in who don't know what we're talking about, we are in Germany, in Cologne, for Gamescom at the moment. We're actually recording this 30 minutes before it's supposed to go live, so it's going to be a little late, but the idea was that we got invited to do a panel at that was my bag, a panel at Gamescom with the three of us doing a live episode, and then we planned it, we got ready for it. I bought all the recording equipment we might need to work with their audio mixing equipment.
It was great. The room was nice. A lot of people showed up. We were kind of excited.
I was there on Arab time.
You missed. No. Sorry. Let's do the glass half full.
Right.
You showed up to half of it, though.
No, 40 minutes out of the hour. I was there for the majority of the panel. But because I had the recording equipment, we didn't manage to record that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
It was so funny that the organizer of the event got on stage to introduce us, and he's like, I've worked with Rami for years, so I know he'll show up eventually. He's usually like stepping out of a plane or a bike or whatever.
I felt really bad. Tobias Kopka, who's one of the organizers, he's one of the few people I managed to consistently be like maybe 1 minute late for, but not more. And I just ended up on the wrong side of the Gamescom building. And if you've ever been to Gamescom, that's 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like that's
It's wild.
It's
Yeah.
just, this show is enormous.
I think it'd be better if you just got a motorbike or something.
Right,
and
yeah.
circled the
Got a
building.
cab and go around. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I made the rookie mistake of booking a bunch of meetings back to back on Wednesday of Gamescom, and I put 5 minutes in between.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Wow, impossible.
It's impossible.
Impossible.
You can't get any unless you're literally in the same hall, and even then, it takes 5 minutes to get to
Yeah,
the other side of the hall.
I think like the only way that would work if you have like a room in a hotel
Yes.
somewhere and you're inviting people to that room.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And then that's the only way that work. But like if you're doing meetings in the hall, no,
It-
like
It's sort of weird and unfortunate because you look at things like GDC, right? And they charge like what, €1,400, $1,400 for a ticket, and then the value you get out of it is like not great, but like all the meetings are still in hotel rooms, right? They got Gamescom where all the meetings are in hotel rooms, so you don't really have to buy a ticket.
Yeah.
Like you can come to Cologne and have a great time, do everything Gamescom wants to offer you except for check out the games, but do your meetings, talk to the people you want to meet up with, do your dinners. Never have to spend $1, but the ticket is like $100 for the business ticket, and it makes a lot of people, I think, skip on that ticket.
Yeah.
But I feel like Gamescom is showing how it could be done. $100 is affordable. Like it can be expensive if you're starting out, but it's it's an investment at that point.
I thought it was weird at first, but actually now that I've seen it, it actually makes a lot more sense to separate the exhibitor hall ticket from the public hall ticket, from the trade hall ticket, and from the Congress, which is where they have the talks. Because seriously, for GDC, you talk to different people, they show up for different things. They don't need all the tickets.
Yeah. I think, like, for people starting up, GDC, for example, they can get the Expo Pass, like $250 or something like that. And then you can really get the best out of the week. Like, just show up the week and, like, you just hang out in, like, around the Moscone and you'll see everybody. Yeah. And like the Expo Pass will let you in the building. It might not let you in the talks or something like that, but you can cash those later, or like talk to people.
Yeah. Personally, I wouldn't even get that. For GDC, I would just get nothing and just sit in the park.
Yeah, I think I would only recommend it because like there are some parties that would want you to have a GDC badge to go in. So that would be like I'm part of this.
My general rule with GDC is if you're at the start of your career, just come to GDC. Right. Don't get a ticket.
Right.
Just show up. If you're in the middle of your career, get yourself a GDC badge. Right. Like at that point, like you have money coming in, or you have like financial responsibilities or financial opportunities, and then that ticket can really pay off. The talks are valuable because you have that basic layer of knowledge.
Yeah.
And that GDC is really at its best.
Yeah.
And then when you're further in your career, it's selective.
Yeah.
You either go or you don't go. You choose to catch up with your friends, so you don't go to the talks, or you have a bunch of talks you want to see, so you get the ticket. So GDC is just not where you start.
Yeah.
Gamescom, I personally, that was my first event.
Yeah.
Gamescom. Like I went here and I met hundreds of developers in that business show floor. Snuck my way into a meeting with Microsoft.
That happened here. I heard that.
Yeah,
story.
that was here. Yeah, I read the name of the guests that were coming.
Yeah.
And they had the list at the entrance, so I just read a name and just said, like, that's me. And they're like, okay, have a seat.
Oh, that's funny.
And then I walked to a Microsoft representative, like, hey, so I don't have a meeting. And they're like, huh? I'm like, but I'd like to introduce myself. They're like, okay, I guess. So
impressive.
Yeah.
My first trade show was the Tokyo Game Show.
Yeah.
First time I ever go to any trade show at all, and it's a Tokyo Game Show. It was wild.
Mine was the Montreal International Game Summit, which doesn't really exist anymore.
No, it doesn't.
It merged with another festival that's B2B.
Mm-hmm.
No, sorry, that's B2C, because Migs was B2B. And now it doesn't feel the same. It still kind of exists, but it's not the same. But it was pretty big.
I imagine like any event in Montreal would be bigger than any other event anywhere else.
I think that, but it's not.
It's kind of an interesting community in that they like meeting up, but they don't necessarily like to meet up for really big things all too much.
Yeah. They like to like a lot of people from Montreal go to other conferences.
Yeah.
I started the first, me and my co-founder Salim, we started the first Montreal Independent Game Festival because all of the Montreal devs were going to the Boston FIG, Festival of Indie Games. And hundreds were going.
Wow.
Like, what's wrong with us?
Yeah.
Why don't we have our own festival? We literally have more than 20 times their studios.
Yeah.
Right.
So just like I started for that purpose, and even then, it got too big too fast. So there was a market for it. But there's no initiative for it. I don't know why.
That's really crazy. In Montreal, like per capita, that's probably one of the highest game dev ratio.
Fourth in the world.
Wow.
But the thing really is, these kind of things, somebody just needs to start them.
Yeah.
Like it's not a like there's no function that says if you have this many developers, events will happen.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to go and sit down and like do it and like start organizing and facilitating. And I think it's one of the most important jobs in the industry is facilitating people getting together, exchanging knowledge, exchanging resources.
When we started it, we realized maybe why other people didn't want to, because it was too big. You can't grassroots it anymore. If you started up, too many people are going to want to come. Our first year with no advertising, because we didn't have a budget, we had 900 people.
Wow.
Second year was 2,000. Third year was 5.
The first Utrecht indie
Wow.
meetup we did was 25 people.
Yes. So
And we were overwhelmed. We were like, oh my God.
Yes. So we have the reverse problem in Montreal. So instead, there are little things that happen that are closed doors
Right.
instead of having big thing, because big thing, it's uncontrollable.
Wild, man. But it for me, it sounds like a business opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, except like I hate event management.
Yeah.
So
I got out of it because of that.
Right.
There was a purpose for it. I wanted it to exist, but
I feel like event management is like very similar to game dev, in which like the minute you think everything's going well, it just doesn't,
Oh,
and then
yeah,
that
it
stuff
catches on
keep
fire.
popping up.
let me tell you about the second iteration where 10 minutes before we went live, there was no electricity. We lost power because
Nice.
yes, and that was super stressful. We got it up and running 15 minutes after the show started, but
Right.
still, that was a really stressful 25
You
minutes.
said the show didn't start on Arab time. I don't know what's Speaking of, by the way, the panel was really fun.
It was amazing.
It was so good to see so many listeners also in person.
Yeah, that's great. There was one of the listeners, Hani, gave us all like the scarab.
I still have it in my pocket.
It was so nice of him, and like we managed to meet a bunch of people, took photos together.
Yeah.
Like I had a heartwarming moment, I think, like while I was on stage, because like we were talking, we're doing our thing, like
You two or us three?
us three.
Oh,
also.
I was there already.
Yeah,
Okay.
No, it's fine. Like we give you enough trouble for showing up. Like,
That's why I'm preempting it. I'm just getting ahead of it.
No. The three of us were out there. We're doing a thing, and like we're talking, and then like we're just talking to each other. And, like people are laughing or like they're into it or smiling and something like this. And it made me think that we've been doing this now for close to 2 years, I reckon.
Yeah.
And people are probably like listening to us as they're driving or like doing the dishes or something like that. And I like now that I've done that in front of people, I can now visualize them, like laughing with us or smiling with us as they're doing the dishes or like, driving the car or something like that. And I go like, that's, it's heartwarming. I feel like, like we are bringing some joy, I guess, to some people. I guess we also might be like driving other people crazy.
Well, the nice thing is they can just stop listening. to us.
Exactly.
I'm surprised by how many people told me that they either have been listening since episode 1 or that they haven't, but they caught up from the very beginning.
Yeah,
They
that
listened
for
to every
me is
episode.
wonderful.
Lord, every single time. I mean,
I can see that in analytics.
Yeah.
That the first episode still, like all the episodes still go up in numbers.
Yeah.
Which is really wild.
Wow, that's
But,
cool.
when they kind of go up all at the same time. It's not like episode 1 has a lot of listens and then episode 2 has like noticeably less and then 3 not. Like no, like they go up together.
wow.
With people tuning in, and I think at that point it's sort of like a history archive of like the games that came out and the conversations that
That's
happened
true.
around it, and that's also really cool.
That's true. Yeah. What were we up to? Like we're over 80 episodes at this point.
82. 82 is what I typed in when we started this recording.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Did y'all think we can make it this far? When we
That's
started?
not even counting the Sahur bites. Like
That's-
we've done
wow.
like
That's true. Yeah.
200
60 of those.
Yeah, we've done only almost 200 like pieces of audio recording up on this channel.
Wow.
It's impressive.
It was really cool. I think what Fauzi was saying, also just hearing people tell that, even though we don't know them, personally perhaps, that to them, it's like a group of friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not, because I always like to imagine that there's a fourth sort of like question mark
Yeah.
in the room
That's
that's
true.
just there. We even have the empty seat here
We
actually right now.
do.
For our
Um,
listeners.
But it is cool to like hear that actually is true, because I think it's just the idea of this is just like a group of friends talking.
Yeah. And like, a lot of the fans that we met while we were here at Gamescom, they were saying that I know for you guys, you're just meeting me for the first time. I'm talking for them, but they felt that they've known us forever
Yes.
because, like, they've heard the stuff that we're up to, or like they know what we feel about certain things.
Yeah, they reference things of my life that I forgot I mentioned. There's a couple of double takes there. Like, how do you know this?
Oh, wait, I told you.
Yeah.
No, it's super nice. It's been really good. And, like we started this as sort of a community for Arab, Swana, Muslim,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, like voices that are underrepresented.
Yeah.
And that don't have an easy home in the games industry, maybe.
Like yesterday, I was also talking to two people, for fans of the podcast, friends of the show that were listening. They're from Iran.
Yeah.
And they were telling me that prior to listening to the show, they didn't interact with that many Arabs, so they didn't realize how similar our cultures were.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the more they were listening to the podcast, they were like, "Oh, we're actually like very, very similar." Like when you say something like, "I know this reference, I pick up on this," or like my mom does the same, or something
I
like
mean,
this.
Iraq was pretty much the same. It was part of Persia.
Yeah, historically, right? But like
Historically,
you get
there was
like
no separation, no border.
for a lot of us, like born in the modern world, we just don't realize how
Yes.
much our history is
Yeah.
connected, and
It's true.
it's funny for me because I also heard similar feedback from like people from Portugal or Italy to say that we have like similar culture
Latin
and some
America.
Latin
stuff.
America, the
Yeah.
Spanish, Portuguese sort of like reach and culture, like they're very similar in
Yeah.
many ways. Like we the episode we did where we talked about ships. For a bit.
Yeah.
Like the amount of feedback we got there, where people were just like, "Yeah, we have it too. It's called like chancla," and it's like it's the exact same
Yep.
thing. The aunties are more accurate.
Yeah.
Like it's like
They have the WhatsApp group with the flowers
Yep.
as well. That's pretty universal.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, I think there's actually a lot of overlap in non-Western culture
Yeah.
that just doesn't come up because it sort of gets drowned out by the
Because of
Western
Hollywood,
culture.
exactly.
Yeah. And then
We see one way of living.
as soon as you connect the dots between those communities, it's suddenly like, oh my god,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, super cool. There was another like super cool moment from the panel. I think there was a dude coming in from the Ukraine studio,
Yeah,
like again
yeah.
the Game Loft Ukraine studio,
Yes.
and I think his team members like I think they were listening to the show or something, and they asked him to record. And he was sitting the entire thing like recording. I think it's the only recording of that.
The panel that exists.
Is that dude like holding the phone the entire
Yes.
time and like videotaping the whole thing just to share with his team, and I felt like so heartwarming for me.
It
Like,
was. And he came and met us later on stage.
Yeah.
And it was good because he doesn't listen to the show.
Yeah, he has no idea who we are.
On the team listen to the show. This guy's just like, I don't know who you are. And we're like, well, we'll you can send us emails or like postings.
He's gonna be a fan now. I saw him laughing at our jokes.
Yeah, he was having a good time.
He seemed to have had a good time.
It was also fun that there was also just a bunch of people who are not listeners.
Yeah.
That was also nice. They were
Yeah.
just like, I don't know what this Habibis thing is, but okay,
Let's go
you're
check
gonna
it
drop
out.
by
Let's see
and
what that
listen.
is. There were a lot of good talks at that time.
Yeah.
There was a lot of
It's
good
true.
stuff
There's
happening.
a lot of competition.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Well, Osama, this was your first Gamescom.
This is my
Yeah.
first Gamescom. It won't be my last.
It won't be your last.
Yeah.
So give us what was the most impressive thing for you?
The sheer magnitude, the size of the conference. I mean, I've been to big conferences before, and big conferences all over the world. But like, if you compare it to something like GDC, GDC is huge, and GDC fits in Gamescom like 5 to 10
No,
times.
yeah, more like 10 to 15.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
10
it's
to 15.
ridiculous.
Like I think one of the big halls can fit most of GDC in it. I was shocked.
Did you hit the floor on one of the public days?
Yes, I did. It was
Did
today,
you go
this
down the
morning.
escalator?
I tried. I gave up. I found
Wow,
another
you
way.
went this morning.
I went this morning.
I think you needed to see it for yourself.
There was a person who I was trying to get in contact with the whole weekend, couldn't, and I had
Yeah.
a slot this morning, so I went to check out his game on his booth. This dev from France,
Right.
and just getting to him was an ordeal.
Yeah.
You can't.
And he told me when I got there, it took so much effort and so much time. He told me when I got there, good, you came here before all the people showed up.
Right.
So I can't even imagine how much it was. Like I got there like at 10:30. I can't even imagine how busy we'll be at like 1 p.m.
Right. The structure of the event is very much on Wednesday. There's a trade day,
Yeah.
so they don't let the larger audience in unless you have a trade visit.
It's the last day I go in.
It's the only reasonable day to go onto the show floor. Then Thursday is relatively calm because most people are still in school, at work, whatever. Friday starts calm, but then people take time off from like their job or like say they take a long weekend to celebrate Gamescom. So you get like 40% of capacity, 50% of capacity. Tomorrow,
Forget it.
you cannot move. Like you don't choose where you go.
Wow.
The mass chooses where you go.
The crowds will push you.
The crowds push you into a hall, and then you exist in that hall.
That's incredible. That I don't want to witness. I had a little taste of it today, so I can imagine, I can project, and I think it's enough.
Yeah, I saw a bit of it on when was it? Thursday morning. It was the same thing. I wanted to see like some games and all of that, and and actually we're on the way to the panel. On the way to the panel, that was a struggle. Like I think I got in at 12:10, and I managed to be there at 12:55.
No.
just to make my way through. I think
I-
like 400 meters.
I had that actual situation where there's literally an overpass
Right.
of foot traffic inside the building,
Yeah.
and there was a wave of people. 100% of them were coming towards me, and I needed to cross the opposite way, and I couldn't even so I just went the long way down an escalator,
Oh.
around
Yeah.
and up another escalator.
So
I couldn't
here's-
make my way through.
Here's a conference trick. You actually know how to maneuver that.
How?
You played Assassin's Creed.
I knew you were gonna say it.
But it's actually true. Like if you want to move through that crowd, just put one of your arms sort of diagonally in front of you, and people will filter to your left and right as you move forward.
No, that's incredible. I have to
It's
try
well, it 100% works. I'm not sure if it works for you, but for me and Osama,
He pointed
our
at me.
arms- for me and Osama, our arms would be about like head height for most people, so they'll get out of the way. For Osama, it'd be like
For Posey, it might be chest height.
So
Osama head height, Fauzi.
what I
they
need
might
is just to
notice
go
that.
with one of you guys. So you can
Just
carry me on your
We'll carry
shoulders.
you like we did for the photo op.
It's so funny. I saw that photo with with Osama was carrying me, the whole of me, with one arm.
You're not that heavy, I think.
It was a loving.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people are like, they look at the photos and they're like, "You're not that short." When they meet me, I was like, "Yeah, I'm 176. I'm normal."
Yeah, very average height.
But it is Rami and Osama. They're like Viking height.
We also ended up at a bunch of food.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was great.
Restaurants here are great.
Oh yeah, they know how to do food.
Yeah, we went to an Arab restaurant. That was pretty nice.
Remember Al Salam?
Al Salam, yeah, pretty good place.
Yeah, that's good.
Deer, which I've never seen at an Arab restaurant before.
Right.
I thought it was delicious.
Yeah, it was
Well, there's
nice.
this nice fusion between like very traditional Arab meals and then a bit more like local
Yes.
cuisine.
Yeah,
It
a
works
bit of a
really
local
well.
flair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the best.
We had that Italian food the other night. That was so
Ah.
They actually made the pasta in the cheese.
in the
Right.
cheese. They brought in they rolled in a cheese.
Just a cheese wheel the
Wheel.
size of I don't know like what to call like
A car tire.
truck wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then they put the pasta in the cheese.
In the cheese.
And then they mix it. And then they put some truffle on top.
Oh, so good.
That was divine.
The thing is, I live in Montreal. French Canadians love their pork, but I never realized how much more the Germans love their pork.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You really have to, as someone who doesn't eat pork, you really have to double check. It looked like fish sticks. It was pork sticks. I've never even heard of it before. Everything is pork.
They'll make a vegetarian salad and give you pork sauce. Like, is this halal? Yeah, there's only alcohol and pork in it.
And some lettuce.
It's funny. We had one of the people that came to the restaurant is also Arab, and despite that we were eating pasta, which is by all intents and purposes carbs.
Yeah.
Being an Arab, he was like he needed bread with that stuff,
Yeah.
and he just kept on asking
He
for
kept
bread.
ordering bread. Just more bread.
Kept on
more
asking for so much bread that they eventually ran out of bread.
bread. I don't think they ran out. I just think they were done with us.
Well, to be fair, we were done with him.
And when they came to us, and I was by this time this was a large dinner. There were like 20 people, so keeping it organized was already a sort of a challenge.
Yeah.
But like this guy, I just at some point I'm like, "Halas, like enough, done, no more bread." And then he's like, "No, I'm just gonna ask for one more bread." And he asked for one more bread. And the waitress comes in, who by the way was a champion.
Yes.
I don't know,
Amazing.
20 loud game
We
developers.
weren't paying attention most of the time.
Right.
I felt for her.
But then she just walks in and she's like, "I'm sorry, we're out of bread." We're like, "What?" It's like the restaurant is out of bread. You know? Yeah, it was good. It was a really good dinner. Also, lots of Arabs, lots of Middle Eastern people, lots of Swana
This
people.
incredible game that was made in Iran.
Oh
I
yeah,
saw concept art from it, and it made me dream.
Yeah.
It was, I think it was called Tale of Bastoon or Bastoon, something
it's
like that.
inspired by Iranian mythology. Yeah,
Absolutely
Yeah,
impressive and gorgeous. It's like the art style was incredible, but it was like familiar and unfamiliar in different ways. It was beautiful. I actually can't wait for that game to come out.
I think it's out
It is
already.
It's
Actually,
out. You can download it.
out?
Yeah, it's
You
out.
can
Yeah,
buy
it's
it.
been out. I worked with them for like a year and a half.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
Guess
no,
what?
it's
I'm
beautiful.
yeah,
buying as soon as I get home.
I bought it on my as I saw their video, I bought it on my Steam app, and I was like, "This is great."
I had misunderstood them. I thought it was coming.
It was
No, no,
released
it's-
July 13th, 2022. It's called The Tale of Bistoon.
The television.
Tale of Bistoon. You know, the remarkable part about these guys, you know, like I'm just talking to them, like I'm just looking at the art, and like they had the art book with them, and I was just looking at the art book, and then like I looked at the video game trailers. Even before I play the video game, which I will, this is their first game.
Yeah.
This is their first game, and I'm
Yep.
looking at the quality. You know, like even a team of veteran game developers, when they get together for the first time, you can't guarantee them making a good game together. And these guys just like make a fantastic looking game just from the beginning.
Yeah.
And the reviews on Steam, it looks very positive. So you don't have to take my
Oh, yeah,
words
yeah.
for it. Like the people that are playing this game seem to really, really enjoy it.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm downloading it. I'm gonna be playing it next week.
Same.
Yeah.
I wonder if it works on Steam Deck. That's the first thing I'm going to check.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah, I think
it looks
that's-
friendly for the Steam Deck, but they're testing it soon. I think.
Yeah.
I think there was like one of the people in the dinner was from Epic, and he was like, "I'm gonna set you guys up with some Steam Decks.
Yeah,
We're gonna like test it out."
That's what's great about those dinners. It really helps connect people in a better way than I find than the industry parties that exist.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's why I started them.
Yeah.
Again, the idea is you bring 10 veterans and 10 new people,
Yes.
put them in a room together, have to meet.
Yes.
You know, this Gamescom, I tried something different. It was like usually in Gamescom, I'm just jumping from one party to the other.
Mhm.
And this come, I wanted to not do that many parties,
Right.
if any parties at all. So like, like I was just either hanging out like at restaurants or like over food with other people, or we're just hanging out like in a public open space, and there's just a whole lot of different people, and we're just chilling.
I was with you at most of those.
Yeah, I was like, I can't believe that we finally the three of us in the same place. So I was like, I wanted to maximize our time together as much as
I
possible.
only went to one party. I went to the Indie Mixer.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I went to zero.
Yeah.
I mean, I went home to watch a movie with the girlfriend. Well, I went to the hotel to watch a movie with the girlfriend.
It's home. It's home.
It's
That's home. But also, I mentioned this on the panel, but since it's being recorded now, my girlfriend, like she knows a bit of Arabic just by proxy, but she makes the best, just the best Arabisms. Recently, there was something that we were hoping to do. I think it was watch the movie actually. And then the first night it didn't work out because things were busy, and so the first night doesn't work out. And she looks at me and she's like, "Well, malish, but inshallah bukra, and then if bukra is malish, then maybe the bukra after bukra." And I just need that on a t-shirt. I need that on it's like the perfect Arabic sentence.
It is so contagious. I'm saying it now.
The bukra after bukra needs to be on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
It does. It does.
But I think the entire sentence needs to be.
Yeah.
Inshallah bukra, but if bukra is malish, then the bukra after bukra.
Ask her for the rights. We'll make her
Right.
Habibi merch.
She also keeps saying let's yallah.
Let's yallah.
And it's just I can't stop saying it now.
I can't get into that. Let's yalla.
Let's yallah.
But like in Egyptian, you say mat yalla. Mat yalla yad. Yeah, so it's kind of like let's yalla.
Or Yalla Bina.
Yeah,
It's kind of.
yeah. So it's kind of why don't we let mat yalla?
I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah. We had some good questions too
Yeah.
at the end of the panel.
Yeah, it was super cool. I got a bunch of questions about Arab representation. What do we think about Arab representation?
That was
in
good.
video games?
That's what I'm just sitting here. I'm like, the only question I remember is whether I'd work for Bungie.
Yeah.
That's the only question I remember. I'm like,
Literally, he asked, "Would you work for a company? And if you would, does it start with B and end with Unji?"
he's not wrong.
He's not wrong at all.
But, yeah, that's the only question I remembered. And then that's Fauzi's playing. I'm like, oh, right. They asked about representation and stuff.
Absolutely. So maybe you tell everyone the answer.
Well, I mean, I thought all of us had very different answers, which I thought was really interesting because I think we're coming at it from a very similar perspective.
Mhm.
I think sort of the overarching trend is that we're not looking for quantity of representation, but diversity and quality of representation.
Normalizing of our existence.
Exactly. Like more background characters, more normal Muslims in games, things like that. Like people from other regions that are close that don't get represented. All of those are common themes that came up.
Subcultures in the Arab cultures, because those exist too.
Exactly.
Like the story of an Egyptian is going to be notably different from the story of any other Arab.
Exactly.
So, that, and I think I made it a little complicated by saying like I also want, because today like that new Netflix series, Mo.
Oh yeah, that's true. I saw the trailer. It's funny.
Yeah.
It's a stand-up comedian, Palestinian stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
And I really want to watch it. I'm very excited about it, but I'm also like, oh come on, like it's another American Arab. It's not like I would love to have stories about Arabs.
It's true.
I know I'm Dutch Egyptian, so I'm technically half.
Yeah,
But at the same time, I would love to just see something about an Egyptian.
Yeah, absolutely.
there are some like if you want to watch some of this stuff, that there's some Jordanian TV shows that launched on Netflix.
Yeah.
So like there's like Al Mawarid High School, I think is what it's called. I'll look it up right now to tell you what it is. There was also an Academy Award nominated movie, also made in Jordan by Jordanian actors and directors, called Deep, what translates to wolf. The actors in the actors of those movies were never actors before. Those are Bedouins.
Wow.
Those are Bedouins, and then like they they worked with the director to make those to make that movie. And it was so funny because they were all like in their traditional outfits when they went to the opening of Cannes to like represent the movie. It was one of the Palme d'Or kind of movies and nominated for best foreign movie. So
That's amazing.
we've been making some really good like movement in movies and TV series, like on Netflix now. There's a bunch of shows that are like presenting like slice of life kind of thing from
That's
like
the stuff
Arab
we
culture, which is the stuff we need.
Yes.
And it's also part of my answer on the podcast is like I want us to go beyond what we're seeing in Arab video games now, in which like the first thing you think of with Arab culture, and more of that slice of life stuff in our video games.
Absolutely.
It's not like it kind of makes sense. Like Japanese first started making video games, like all right, let's put in some ninjas and samurais and all of the stuff that it's part of the first thing that you think about. And then it got deeper and deeper and deeper as they're making more and more video
Now
games.
we've got Yakuza.
Yeah,
Speaking of-
exactly.
It's like getting like
Yeah.
yakitori.
Exactly. Or like you go and play mahjong in like an underground.
Right, yeah,
Speaking
like,
of both samurai movies and speaking of people who didn't act, did you know that Seven Samurai, almost the entire cast, had never acted before?
wow.
Especially the extras. And in some scenes, you actually see one of the extras who played a peasant chewing gum. He's supposed to be dead on the ground.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
It's tobacco.
It was something.
And and after death, you just gotta choose some tobacco. But
Nobody called out my segue. That was an excellent segue. I segued into two
that's
things.
true. Wow.
It was
Pretty
it
good
was
segue.
two butters.
Oh,
It was
no.
two butters.
It's too much butter we didn't recognize it. Like it's,
I think maybe because the bread was out.
yeah. It slipped and stood up, and that was that.
Now I'm blushing.
Just slippery. Did you see anything for Gamescom? Did you actually have time to walk the floor?
I did not have time to see any
Oh, wow.
games. Zero.
I just barely dropped by the Ubisoft area and said hi to the Skull and Bones guys, but that's about that
I
for me.
went from
I couldn't even
meeting
see everything in the hall
If you
because it
ever
was
come
just
back,
packed.
spend some time at the indie arena. Because it's like there used to be the indie mega booth at PAX, like it's that time on like steroids.
Yeah.
Huge.
It's massive. I saw.
It's been a long time since I've
Separated
been
into
actually.
sections. There's like a indie section just for retro games,
Yeah.
and it's massive. It's as big as any indie section in like Comic Con
Right.
on its own, and it's just for retro games.
Yep.
It's shocking.
I checked out A Space for the Unbound, which was also in the news this week because they are getting massively.
Did they get embraced?
No. Far worse. No, they're getting. I don't have polite words for this, but they're being unfairly treated by their publisher.
Oh,
And basically, the story that I've heard is that they had a PC version of the game, and this is Toge Productions in Indonesia and Mojikan. So these are two brilliant studios. Coffee Talk might be a title you recognize.
Yes.
Making very cultural games. They had a UK publisher called PCube that offered to help them with porting in exchange for a percentage of revenue on the console, but then also because they were going to do some marketing, a percentage of the PC version. And apparently what happened is they gave the developer an amount of money from a Microsoft grant, but withheld most of that money without telling them that there was more money.
what?
And then turned out that it was the diversity grant, which explicitly says that the money has to go to the developer.
Oh my god.
So the publisher apparently just stole like half of a diversity grant, and that is the amount of money that is involved in that theft is more than the full investment that they made into the game.
Oh.
So there's now some efforts going on among indies figuring out to who else they might have done this, because this doesn't seem like a one-off. It seems like
It's a business strategy.
And it's
legal, criminal business strategy.
It's really rough because it means that Space for the Unbound it's just indefinitely delayed as they figure out the legalities of it, and it's such a beautiful game.
That's so sad. But it sounds like if that was to be true, then Microsoft has contractual evidence to,
Yeah, but that's the problem with legal stuff. Everything is separated. So Microsoft have grounds to not give them the diversity grant anymore.
Yeah.
But they don't have grounds to take the game away from the publisher. And the publisher is refusing to give it back to the developer.
Wow.
So even though Microsoft can say like, hey, we won't give you diversity grants anymore if they choose to do that, they can't say, okay, the game goes back to the developer, because there is a legal contract. And the publisher is saying, no, we signed it. Even though the developer is saying you're in breach. So now it's a dispute. And I guess the only way to resolve this for an Indonesian studio, small indie studio, to go to court against a UK publisher, and that's...
So we have to make sure that nobody else signs with that publisher.
Oh yeah, no, it's the problem with these kind of things is, in 6 months there'll be so many new indies that have missed this story. Exploitative publishers like that always get away with it because there's just no way to keep warning people for them.
That's heartbreaking.
So it's rough. But the game looks beautiful, and wishlisted on PC, on Steam, and otherwise, support the developer. Togen Productions did incredible games, and check them out, because a lot of what we talk about here is what they do, is what they did, and I would love for their story to be represented more.
Yeah, and Coffee Talk is on Game Pass.
It's on Game Pass at the moment. Oh,
I got my Game Pass. Obligatory plug.
Let me email Microsoft that you did it again.
Yes. We're still not sponsored by them. We need money, Microsoft.
And then
we don't actually.
We don't really need money. I kind of like that. It's just very chill. And then I played a game. It's a boss fight game where you're on a motorcycle called Gripper.
Oh,
and it's pretty good.
Okay,
it's pretty good. It's it feels a little Dark Soulsy, but instead of standing next to a leg, you're racing around in an Akira style motorbike.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I actually did play 2 games before Gamescom.
Oh?
I played one game with you. What was it called? Rollerdrome?
Rollerdrome.
Yeah.
Oh, is that Anissa's game?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the skating game where you shoot things, and I loved it. Like the fighting game combo player person, and we really enjoyed it. Like it's last second dodges that give you bonuses, and it's tricks that reload your ammo and things like that. It was a lot of fun where they basically reward style, which encourages it.
And timing.
And all this.
They have a really good shotgun mechanic. You didn't get to the shotgun.
No, I did not. I heard good things about it.
The shotgun mechanic is basically, as soon as you lock onto something, this double line starts moving towards the middle, like a perfect reload. And if you shoot exactly when they hit, you do a slug shot, which does more damage.
That's great.
And it's just you go up, you do you have 540 melancholy sort of trick, and then you're above the enemy, and you're just click, click.
Wow. That is
very satisfying.
Exactly. It must be very satisfying. I also played a game called Curse to Golf.
Oh, you did play that?
Yes. I heard good things about this one.
Very, very good.
Yeah?
It's a 2D kind of platformer golf game meets Dark Souls.
Everything meets Dark Souls.
Everything has to meet Dark Souls at the end.
It's very difficult, but it's actually extremely fulfilling when you are able to accomplish it. There's trick shots that are possible. There are ways to get cards,
That's cool.
to use abilities in specific situations, and it has a lot to it. The narrative is really cool. The pixel art is gorgeous. There's a lot to love. It's one of those games that I know I'm never going to be good enough to finish, but which means I could play it forever.
Yeah.
Speaking of Anissa, obviously has been on the show. We also ran into Leal.
Yeah, we did.
That was fun.
Yes.
Because she's obviously, for those of you on the Discord, Leal has been a moderator for a very long time in the Habibis Discord.
And she lives here in Germany now.
She lives here.
And she was on a panel that I did also at DevCon. That was pretty cool because we had developers from the Ukraine, from Lebanon, and Iran. And it's basically a panel that's talking about like, game dev is difficult, game dev is hard. So imagine how hard could it be for people who like have extreme circumstances, like or difficult ordeals or something like this. So it's a panel that just had a lot of these developers just share their stories. How did they get here? What kind of challenges are they facing? How can they get over it and stuff like that? And it was on the main stage for DevCon, and like, people could really like see what like. For most people who are not going through these difficulties, they can't imagine, what it's like to be denied a visa, or like what does it mean for you like to have to relocate for war while you're still like working on your game and stuff like that. And it's just to shed the light of like how passionate those people are, and like how they despite all odds still making video games, and like how difficult it was for them like to move, if they have any stories about like relocation, culture shocks that they're facing, like this kind of stuff. They've gone through so much. And like,
they're still making games.
And they're still making games. And like people tell them like, how do you even smile going under these circumstances? And they go like, life goes on. You gotta be strong and move forward. And I think it was so cool just to be able to hear these guys' stories on the main stage.
It's a privilege to do panels like that. When I did one recently, it was the exact same thing where you listen to people's stories and you're just like, I'm the least impressive person on this stage.
I had it easy.
Long distance, right? Because if I had to do everything, if I had to do even a tenth of what I've done under those circumstances, maybe, but I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
The panel used to run at GDC was like the number one reason for me to go to GDC. It's just listening to these guys' stories. Like I think there was the thing that inspired me the most in terms of like, if this person is just printing code or something like this because power keeps going out, or like these people are like carrying stuff on motorbikes across villages to make games, then
they still do it.
They still do it.
You really gotta love video games for that.
That's amazing.
You already gotta love video games to do it under like the best of circumstances.
And like if you hear those stories, that will inspire you no matter what you're doing.
And that's hard mode. That's the Dark Souls of game dev.
That's game dev meets Dark Souls.
I found another thing that's a Dark Souls for Osama. I went flying with Osama.
Yes.
That was fun. And it was great. We took a flight. It was beautiful over the Netherlands. And at some point, I gave Osama the yoke. So Osama could steer a bit. And first we did a turn.
Yes, that was
the turn went great. It went great. It was amazing. Like turning in an airplane is a relatively complicated maneuver.
You have to be ever so gentle with that thing because
you have to be very gentle.
Very, very gentle.
They're very precise.
I can be gentle.
And on top of that, like when you turn, the airplane loses lift, so you got to adjust for that. And Osama just kept it perfectly on altitude, just by feeling. I think just purely feeling. So then I decided to give him a second exercise where he could descend the airplane a bit, and he just put us in a dive. Like, just instantly smashed the yoke all the way forward. And I was like, my controls, like, we're good.
Did you regret it overall?
I didn't regret it. It was really funny, and I put us pretty high before we started doing those things.
It's super good that they got you through all these emergency situations. Because you were ready for the Osama nosedive.
I was not ready for that one. I was like, okay, so just give it a push, and I'm like, he was so gentle with the yoke in that turn. I'm like, this is gonna be.
It was great. It was an incredible experience to have so much control and to see things from I don't know. It's incredible. I never would have imagined that I would ever have that opportunity.
That's hysterical.
So thank you, Rami.
No, it was
sorry
great.
I almost killed us. But
You didn't. You didn't even come close. But you did. You did. I don't know how you did it, but most people would have come out of that dive super nauseous.
It wasn't.
And Osama was just like, oh yeah, no, it's beautiful up there.
That's amazing.
Were you nauseous?
No. I'm used to some real ridiculous stuff in airplanes at this point. But the point is that you should never have to experience that if I'm flying the airplane.
Yes, you're right.
Which is true because you were flying the airplane.
And let me add that your landing was butter.
It was a butter landing. I was very proud of that landing. Yeah.
Smooth. I didn't even realize we touched the ground.
Yep.
Habibis Airline is a go.
Habibis there.
Agent Smith.
Now we need to fly with the three of us.
It's too bad we can't record a podcast in the plane though.
It's so loud.
It's so loud. Yeah.
So loud.
It's so loud.
You can hook in. You could hook into the audio system, then there would be white noise.
Yeah.
You can remove white noise.
It would make our voices a little weird, but we can absolutely figure out an air
Yeah.
this episode.
We can. We be do it. It will sound like we're doing it through walkie-talkie, like
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And like we just go over every time we
And
do
then,
a sentence.
and then every now and then we have to stop because I have to talk to the radio. It's like,
Yeah, exactly.
That's fine. You just record that too.
it is part of
It's part of the episode.
That should be easy.
that would be something.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah. No, I think we'll wrap it up. It's actually getting pretty cold out here.
Yeah, touch
Which
is
is great.
Great.
It
It's
was
been
so hot
warm
the
here.
entire week.
I was going through 2 t-shirts a day. It wasn't enough.
People in the halls were gonna like just die
Yeah.
if it stayed as hot.
Yeah,
as it
no,
was.
it's good. It's good that it's cooling off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think with that, the episode is cooling off as well.
Ooh, what a segue.
Oh,
What a
that was
segue.
so
Ooh.
good.
I think if anybody sent emails, we just literally did not have time to read them. But
Yeah.
we'll catch up in the next. Well, Osama will catch up in the next few weeks. If you have other emails, things to tell us, stories to tell us of how you listen to the Habibis, or stories that you've heard, or stories that you want to share with us, questions you might have, please send them over to Osama at the email address is info@thehabibis.com.
I thought for a second you're giving them my personal.
Yeah, just Osama, send them only to Osama's personal email.
Osama Care Bear at Gmail.
Osama loves email.
Osama loves you.
Please don't email that address. It's probably somebody's email.
Yeah, we don't know who that is.
If you want to follow, if you want to come join us at the Discord, discord.thehabibis.com. And otherwise, I'm going to put this live a little later than normal, but hopefully as soon as this recording is over. Inshallah.
Inshallah. معلش بكره or the day بكره after بكره.
For now, that was another episode of the Habibis. Thanks so much for tuning in, and salam.
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 That was the Habibis podcast for this week. I was Rami Ismail, your host for this episode. You can find me on Twitter at @THA_Rami. My fellow Habibis were Osama Dorias, who you can find on Twitter at Osama Dorias, and Fauzi Mesmar, who you can find on Twitter at Fauzi Mesmar. Send us your questions, stories, and suggestions via info@thehabibis.com. The intro and outro music was provided by Malik Zubaila, and the logo was provided by Ibrahim Hamdi. The Habibis is a weekly podcast about 3 game developers drinking good Arab tea, with new episodes launching every Friday, inshallah. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcasting service or check out thehabibis.com for more information. Thank you for listening, and salam.